In this video I am going to edit together two photos, a portrait and a background image. Then I intend to trace around with a white brush, trace around the profile of the portrait to create a photo in the style of Ivanova, Kidwell and various other photographers. So I'm using Photopea, Photopia, call it what you will, as a demonstration for my Year 10 group at school. So Photopea is very, very similar, almost identical in fact, to Photoshop. So I'm going to open my two photos. So I go to File and I go to Open. And on my desktop I should have the two photos I want. So I've got the background photo. That should come up. You can see it on the top of the screen here. And I need to go to File and Open the second photograph. Now you will notice both of these photos are actually in black and white. Ivanova's photos mainly are black and white as well. It was just a black and white. It's an older film that I did on a medium format camera. So my two photos are up on the screen. What I need to do now is to copy and paste one of the photos and place it on my background. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the rectangular marquee tool on this occasion. I'm going to trace around the whole picture. You can see the dotted line very faintly in the video. I go to Edit, I go to Copy. I then click on the other photograph, and then I go to Edit, and I go to Paste. Little bit of a pause there because Photopea is up in the cloud, as it were, as a website, rather than live on a computer. The great thing is that you can use this, you don't need Photoshop on your computer at school. Right, so I've got the two photos, you can see the two layers here, I can turn on and off. What I'm going to do now, I am going to blend the two photos together. I can do that by reducing the opacity. So you start to see the detail there. Or the other way to layer them is to go to, rather than having a normal layer, I can look at other ones like hard light is always quite interesting. So I'm getting some quite interesting effects happening there. Now, many of Ivanova's photographs have the white silhouette of the person. So what I'm going to do now to achieve that, I'm literally going to make a white layer, or a layer where I paint white. By doing it as a separate layer, it means that I'm not disturbing the two photos that you see at the moment. So first thing I need to do is to create a new layer. So if I go to Layer, New, and Layer again, you'll see on the right hand side of the screen here, I've got a nice clean layer. What I'm also going to do, I'm going to turn off the background for a moment, and I'm going to draw carefully, bearing in mind I'm not using a mouse, I'm doing it on a sort of a touchpad. I'm going to draw around the person here. So I need to go to the brush, then I need to go to the brush size because it's a bit small at the moment. Let's see how that is. That's going to be quite good to draw around the person. One thing I do need to do though is to make a soft edge. If you do a soft edge, it will make it blend in better. A harsh edge will be a little bit clumsy. Let's just see. Oh, and we're in the wrong colour as well. So to change the colour, click on the colour pad there, click top left. And that will give us a nice white background. Click on OK. So remember, all of this is done on a new layer, so we're not damaging any of the photograph. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to just go round to the start of the portrait. I'm going to press it down and trace carefully around the edge. It takes a little bit of practice, Photopea, but a bit like Photoshop in that respect. So I'm carefully going round. They are quite big files, these, so it is going to be a little bit on the laggy side. And I should point out the computer I'm using, it's a little MacBook, it's about 6 years old. So that may well make things run a little bit more slowly as well. So I'm going in reasonably closely. Now with the soft edge, I don't need to be massively accurate, as you'll see in a minute when I zoom back out. So now I've traced profile. Let's just zoom back out a bit. What I can do now, I can make the brush bigger to basically fill the space far more easily. All right. Now you will find on YouTube other videos that show us, that will demonstrate this technique. If you have a photograph with a lighter background, you can adjust the levels and very easily and far more quickly than I have trace the outside shape, the silhouette of the sitter, of the person you've in the portrait. Because the background is very similar tonally to our sitter, the person in the photo, it means I have to do it the long way. And this is how I'd expect you to do it. You can do similar things with PixArt, I understand. In fact, I think Ivanova does use a mobile phone possibly to do her images. It's all very much a case of patience and practice. So it just comes to the end of the profile now. Nearly there. Now, the other thing, in GCSE photography and A-level photography, we need to show drawing. That's one of the requisites for the last few years. If you turn off the Picture Patrick, you can then very clearly see the element that I have drawn. That is good enough for some aspects of drawing. You're showing drawing skills. Now, what I'm going to do is turn on the background, and there we have an Ivanova style edit. So what I need to do now, as I would with Photoshop as well, I need to flatten the image. So I go to Layer, I go down to Flatten Image. So that's turned it from 3 layers into 1. Now I need to save it, and this is where it differs slightly from Photoshop. I go to File. Now the only thing you can save as is a PSD file, which is a Photoshop file. Don't do that. You need to export it, select the JPEG. The quality, 70 or 80% is fine. Then you go to Save. And if you look down on the bottom of the screen here, that has saved it into the download section of my computer. This is a Mac, so if you go to the download folder, you will find it in there. It's fairly similar on a PC as well. The photo will be there, you can rename it, get it in your PowerPoint, do with it what you will, and that is how you do an Ivanova style edit. Obviously, pause the video, rewind it, have a look through if you're stuck. You might be able to run the video next to your outcome. Anyhow, that's it for this time, and we'll see you next time with another technique. Bye now.